Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at my brand new build for the Open Ultra League, XL DUBWOOL. I was finally able to get DUBWOOL XL candy thanks to the Catching Z's event, so I powered it all the way up to level 49.5, and honestly, XL DUBWOOL is an absolute menace. I put it as the save switch and paired it up with one of my favorite Ultra League cores of Deoxys and Guzzlord, and had massive success with the team. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out XL DUBWOOL in the Open Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a tough lead, Defense Deoxys into Shadow Skuntank. I save switch into DUBWOOL and my opponent is going to respond with Scrafty. Now this team is structured as an ABB style team, with the goal of the DUBWOOL save switch being to bait out the counter user. So the good news is I've baited out the Scrafty, and the nice thing is XL DUBWOOL has a surprising amount of play versus Scrafty. I'm able to make it to Body Slam number 2 here, and as you're going to see, Scrafty will go for the farm down, and DUBWOOL will make them pay, making it to a third Body Slam and forcing a shield from a fighting type. Now I can send in the Deoxys. I'm not going to be shielding a thing. They're going for a boosted foul play, but XL Defense Deoxys is extremely tanky, and now I've set up Guzzlord to close the game. Opponent is going to be sending back in that Shadow Skuntank. In comes Guzzlord. Skuntank farming up energy in the bag. They have Jellicent, and they are absolutely core broken by the Guzzlord once the Scrafty has been taken out of the picture. Crunch deals massive damage to the Jellicent on the CMP tie. Jellicent is going to be firing off the Surf. Surf just really does not do a lot of damage. Guzzlord continuing to farm. Jellicent firing off Surf number 2 here. Surf is going to connect. Guzzlord looking for the farm down. Jellicent will make another Surf. This is not going to be enough to KO, however, and Guzzlord leaves with so much loaded energy. Opponent sends back in the Skuntank. I'm firing off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw will get shielded, going for the next Dragon Claw, and unfortunately, I actually get KO'd. The good news is, I'm still going to win here anyway. I could have ended up just throwing on alignment, but I really wanted to throw on good timing. Unfortunately, that did cost me quite a bit of energy, but the good news is, Deoxys has energy stored, makes it to the Thunderbolt. That will be lethal after one more counter, and that's a good game. Hopping into the next match, picking up a slightly negative lead, Defense Deoxys into Swampert. I'm going to stay in this matchup to start, go for a Psycho Boost, and then look to save switch out of here. Swampert is going to fire off the Hydro Cannon, winning CMP. I'm able to tank that with relative ease, go for the Psycho Boost, and then I'm going to be save switching into DUBWOOL. In comes DUBWOOL. Let's see what my opponent has in the back, and they send in Registeel. Now Registeel, of course, has Focus Blast, which will hit for massive super effective damage, but look at the bulk on XL DUBWOOL. They're gonna make it to the Focus Blast. I'm able to no shield, and look at this. It tanks the Focus Blast, and Registeel is not going to be able to lock on down. That is absolutely fantastic bulk from the XL DUBWOOL. I'm able to land that payback, and now I can shield, double kick down, and win switch advantage. And switch advantage is really nice because that means that if I want, I can put the Guzzlord onto the Swampert. Opponent sends in Cresselia, and DUBWOOL is able to hang on, make the payback, and deal massive damage onto Cresselia. And now I can just put the Deoxys onto the Cresselia. The only thing I have to watch for is a potential Thunderbolt catch onto the Swampert, so I will have to farm up and watch for that. I'm farming up with the Deoxys, watching for the catch. In comes the Swampert. I'm able to hang on to my energy and send in the Guzzlord. Guzzlord can tank an Earthquake, no problem here, and that's exactly what it's going to have to do as Swampert makes the EQ. Swampert fires off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is not going to be enough to KO here. Guzzlord able to hang on, getting the farm down, and leaving with so much energy. They can fire off the Grass Knot here, but I have so much energy, this is absolutely worth a shield. I throw one Dragon Tail, and I'm actually going to bait with the Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw is going to be shielded by Cresselia, and I'm just going straight for the crunch, not making the same mistake as last game. I'm just getting the damage that I can. I'm able to grab the final shield. They're forced to fire off their charge move. Grass Knot will KO, but the good news is my Deoxys is not in a range where a Moonblast will be lethal. So I can bring back in the Deoxys. All the energy I saved from earlier is going to help me secure this game. Thunderbolt gets them low, and the Psycho Boost will get the KO, and that's game over. Picking up a tough lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Galarian Stunfisk. Now, despite the fact that counter does hit for super effective damage here, this is a very negative matchup for Deoxys in the Ultra League because my charge moves are absolutely useless. So what I'm going to do is tank a move, save all this energy for later, and actually save switch into DUBWOOL. DUBWOOL farming up energy, I can tank whatever the Stunfisk throws. My bet is that hopefully my energy on Deoxys will be more useful later in the match. My opponent sends in Fairy Wind Clefable, and oh boy, I am happy that I was able to bait this out, as Clefable is an absolute nightmare for Guzzlord to deal with. I am going to be firing off the Body Slam. That's going to connect onto Clefable. Clefable continues to farm. They're firing off a charge move. I should be able to tank whatever they throw here. Clefable goes for the Moonblast. That does quite a lot of damage, but DUBWOOL is able to hang on and make another Body Slam. Body Slam is going to grab a shield from the Clefable. Clefable firing off the Meteor Mash to grab the KO. But honestly, this is fine by me. DUBWOOL again able to grab a shield from my opponent's counter switch and bait out the Fairy type in this instance, and that just sets up Guzzlord incredibly well to close in the endgame. We'll have to see in the back, they have Jellicent, and there's nothing that Guzzlord loves to see more than Jellicent. I'm farming up a ton of energy. Stunfisk will fire off the charge move here. I shield, and it's the Earthquake. That is a massive shield. I now have the back-to-back crunches, and I'm in a commanding position to close out this game. Crunch number 1 grabs the shield from the Stunfisk, and I make it to crunch number 2. That should be goodbye to the Stunfisk. Oh, not quite yet. Stunfisk on 1 HP with a parting shot as they make the Earthquake. But back in comes Jellicent, and unfortunately there's just no hope for the Jellicent here, as Guzzlord is an absolute wall. Crunch deals massive damage on the CMP tie. They're going to return fire with the Shadow Ball. I can now send in Deoxys, make it to the Thunderbolt. Energy on Deoxys, finally useful, taking out the Jellicent and securing the win. Hopping into the next match, picking up a great lead, Defense Deoxys into A/. I have 2 really good answers on this team with the Deoxys and the DUBWOOL. Opponent is going to save switch into Cresselia, and unfortunately, I don't really have a strong check to a Cresselia save switch. So I'm going to stay in with the Deoxys, fire off the Thunderbolt, get some chip damage, wait for them to throw some energy, and then I can send in the DUBWOOL. DUBWOOL, of course, does have access to Payback, which will hit for massive super effective damage in this matchup. Cresselia is going to be firing off the charge move, and DUBWOOL can very comfortably tank the Moonblast. I'm farming up, and I'm going for the Payback here. No baits. Payback will not KO, but it will deal massive damage onto Cresselia. I continue to farm with the DUBWOOL. Opponent tries to go for the CMP tie, so I end up getting a double kick for free. Moonblast connects. I farm up, and I'm going for the Body Slam. Body Slam, I believe, should be lethal here onto the Cresselia. Cresselia does get KO'd. In comes Virizion, and this is where things get a bit awkward, because Virizion, of course, does very well against my Guzzlord, and unfortunately for me, so does the A/. So my Guzzlord doesn't really have anywhere to go versus this team, so I'm just going to send in the Guzzlord, and basically, more or less, just try and get whatever value out of it that I can. They're firing off another Sacred Sword. I decide to commit the shield. I farm up, wait, go for the catch onto the Dragon Claw, and they catch anyway onto the Sandslash, and that catch probably just lost me this game. That is absolutely brutal, as the Sandslash is actually able to withstand a lot more counter damage in the Ultra League than it is in Great. And then I play to a CMP tie that I do not win. I just lost track of counts, and everything that could go wrong in this endgame is going wrong. I'm firing off the Thunderbolt, but at this point, my opponent no longer needs the Sandslash. They can just send in the Virizion. Virizion has 2 shields to hide behind, and I just don't have enough fast move pressure to get rid of the Virizion, as Virizion can very comfortably farm up to the back-to-back charge moves, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Sacred Sword number 1 KOs Deoxys, and they have Sacred Sword number 2 for the Guzzlord. So in my view, it was a pretty winnable game, but unfortunately some misplays and some good plays by my opponent turn it into a loss. We've got a mirror lead in the next game, Defense Deoxys versus Defense Deoxys. Considering I'm double weak to fighting in the back, I'm more than happy to stay in versus the Pseudo Fighter, and basically just use my Deoxys to get theirs as low as I possibly can. Because oftentimes, if their team is structured in a similar structure to mine, where they have the Psychic type on the lead and double weak to fighting in the back, then my double with double kick should do pretty well versus their backline. We trade Thunderbolts, and I'm firing off Thunderbolt number 2. Opponent is going to no-shield this one as well, and that's quite nice for me. The one thing I still don't know yet is who wins CMP. I do run 11 attack on my Deoxys, so it's definitely possible that I do lose CMP, and I do not get to find out who wins CMP, as my opponent makes a very nice catch, catching the Thunderbolt onto Shadow Snorlax. I could send in DUBWOOL here, but I choose to send in Guzzlord. The reason being is that DUBWOOL is a lot more flexible of a pick than the Guzzlord, so I figure I may as well put Guzzlord into a matchup where I can guarantee that it's going to be okay. I'm firing off the Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw will deal some solid chip damage to the Snorlax. I actually grab a shield from the Snorlax. I decide to shield in return. My opponent is just firing off the Body Slam. Can we make the farm down here? It's gonna be close. We don't get the farm down. I decide to let this through. Shadow Snorlax only made the Body Slam, and that's good news for me. In the back, my opponent has a Guzzlord of their own. So as you guys may know, if you've watched the previous video, I did run this team previously with a Shadow Snorlax instead of DUBWOOL, and now we kind of have the upgraded version with the DUBWOOL. So we get to see the new version of the team versus the old version of the team. We get a catch onto our Deoxys, and things are looking incredibly good. I do make the Psycho Boost here. I mean, it's a dark type. It's barely going to do any damage, but at this point, all chip damage is helpful, and now I can send in the DUBWOOL to finish out this game. DUBWOOL can very comfortably tank whatever they throw. They're going to fire off the Crunch. Crunch does get the defense drop, so I'm happy that I saved my shield. Body Slam will be shielded by the Guzzlord. I'm able to make it to another Body Slam. I lose CMP to the Guzzlord, but thankfully, it's not going to matter. I can shield up the Dragon Claw. Since it's the CMP tie, this should mean game over, as Body Slam plus a double kick will KO the Guzzlord. We see a Core Breaker on the lead in the next match, Defense Deoxys into Golisopod. I'm going to farm up until 1 before the Thunderbolt, switch into the DUBWOOL, and we do get the catch of the X-Scissor. That is quite nice for me, as this way I can keep my Deoxys healthy for whatever my opponent has in the back. They're staying in with the Golisopod. This is a losing matchup for Golisopod. They do, of course, have an energy and health head start, since I did catch a move onto it, but DUBWOOL can definitely put up a fight. I fire off the Body Slam, and I'm firing off Body Slam number 2. This will not KO, but it will get this Golisopod deep into the red. Golisopod staying in this matchup. They're firing off another charge move. They didn't get the defense drop, which means I'm able to live this liquidation. I continue to farm. Opponent sends in Giratina, and I'm going to respond with Guzzlord. So far, my opponent has built a team extremely strong to defense Deoxys, so unfortunately, Deoxys is not looking like it has a ton of play here. Giratina did have a pretty big energy lead, as unfortunately, I did overfarm a bit too much with the DUBWOOL before I sent in the Guzzlord. Guzzlord fires off the Dragon Claw, gets a shield from the Giratina. I farm up since they're 3 away, and I'm actually going to play to the CMP tie here. Normally, I try and throw on good timing, but in this particular instance, it made sense for me as I just need that damage. I'm going to let this go and look for the farm down with Deoxys. In the back, it's Togekiss. I'm farming up, and I accidentally throw on alignment there. With the opponent switching, with the switch oftentimes taking 1 turn, it can be a little confusing as to when to throw your charge move, and unfortunately, I time it incorrectly, and that is really not good against the Charmer. I'm farming up, I go for the Psycho Boost, I'm needing this to KO, I can't afford to take any extra charm damage, but they live on 1 HP, you've got to be kidding me. And at this point, this just feels like it's game over. I'm trying really hard to win, I go for the snipe with the DUBWOOL, but I transfer the Shadow Claw, and I get farmed down. Hopping into the final match, leading Defense Deoxys into Snorlax. I do have 2 better responses in the back, so I am going to save switch into DUBWOOL. DUBWOOL farming up energy here. Snorlax will fire off a charge move. I decide to commit a shield. Unfortunately, it is just going to be the Body Slam. I continue to farm up with the DUBWOOL. Opponent not switching out of this matchup, so it looks like they do not have a fantastic response to the DUBWOOL save switch. I continue to farm. Surely this one will be the superpower, so I decide to shield. It's a Body Slam again, and my opponent is now going to send in Venusaur. I'm down 2 shields, but the switch timers are very misaligned, and it's the Shadow Venusaur, so I'm actually going to be able to either KO the Venusaur or grab a shield before they make a charge move. I'm able to make it to a 3rd Body Slam, and this will be lethal. Opponent will have to shield if they want to preserve the Venusaur. I switch into the Guzzlord, and I end up catching a Frenzy Plant. That's about the best case scenario, as the Venusaur does not make another move. And now I have Guzzlord with energy. In the back, they have Clefable. Oh man, that is terrible news for the Guzzlord, but at the very least, I got some value out of the Guzzlord being able to get rid of the Venusaur. They're going to fire off the charge move here. No shields remaining for the Guzzlord, and Guzzlord will get KO'd. I'm going to send in the Dubwool. Dubwool farming up a bunch of energy. They're going to fire off a charge move here. Let's see. Will the Moonblast KO? Moonblast does not KO. In comes the Snorlax. I bank a bunch of energy for later. And now I can send in the Deoxys. Deoxys can tank whatever they throw here. Snorlax farmed up. And now we learn why they didn't ever superpower me. They're actually running Outrage on the Snorlax. So the spicy charge move set. In comes Clefable, I fire off the Thunderbolt, that gets shielded, and now I make the Psycho Boost, and this Psycho Boost should just about put it into Body Slam range for the Dubwool. They're farming up a ton of energy with Clefable, and they're finally going to fire off a charge move. Meteor Mash will not KO. Deoxys makes it to one final Psycho Boost as well. I mean, this is not going to KO, but it will get them very low. Back in comes the Dubwool with so much energy loaded, taking out Clefable. And that is a good game. All in all, I'm extremely happy with my XL Dubwool investment, and the good news is, it's actually going to get slightly better once I have the best buddy finished. It's currently level 49.5, when the best buddy is finished, it will get to level 50.5, and it does pick up a couple extra wins. So XL Dubwool, it's a Pokemon I've wanted for a very long time, and now that I finally have it, man, it did not disappoint whatsoever. So if you were able to get the Dubwool XLs during the Catching Z's event, I would highly recommend investing in an XL Dubwool, as this thing is an absolute beast. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.